What's going on, guys? Blazing Tech here. Today we've got a car review of my Subaru 2017 WRX, kind of my first impressions. So here we have my 2017 Subaru WRX, and it's just a beauty. You can look all these lines here in the front end. It's beautiful. It has all these design cues from the original rally racer, flared out fenders. You can see all that here. And this is actually the WR Blue, and this is the base model WRX. So you see, this is kind of what you get. It looks much more aggressive than the previous model, and it's just a beauty, and it's so fun to drive. Here you see here, you've got your intercooler intake right here. I kind of expected like a grill in there, but there's actually nothing in there. Right here you've got your where your fog lights should be. That's something that I'm considering doing. Since it's a brand new car, I do not have my front license plate on yet. Got Subaru right here. It's a little dirty. We're in California, we're still in a drought, and I'm trying to conserve water here. I'm not going to bore you with all the specs on the inside and all that, but just look at the lines. WRX, wow, beautiful, beautiful. Standard 17-inch black aluminum wheels for the base model, which is very nice. Over here, obviously a four-door sedan. Unfortunately, they did not offer the new WRX in a hatchback. Here we've got Subaru symmetrical all-wheel drive, quad exhaust. Just sounds amazing. WRX. Again, the same lines. 17-inch factory aluminum wheels. Just open the door here. Door panel right here. I like these pockets a lot. It has them on both sides. I don't know if it has them in the passenger side, but we will find out. The only accessories that I actually did to this car at this point in time is purchase the all-weather floor mats here and the factory OEM sunshade to keep it nice and cool in the car. The interior is absolutely amazing. Obviously, since this is a very budget-oriented sports car, there are some areas that did take a hit in the quality department, such as this this glove box here. It's kind of really flimsy and cheap, in my opinion. Some areas of the car are very cheap here, you can tell. This fake carbon fiber is actually really cool. It feels nice. It's a nice plastic. But the seats are just amazing. They bolster you in, and they give you great lumbar support, and they're adjustable. The driver one you can pump up and down, and it's really comfortable. The only options that my particular WRX has is the STI 6-speed short shifter right here, you can see. And then I have the STI shift knob, and then the home link and the compass rear view mirror. And it also will dim. If some jerk is flashing their lights, it will dim down for you. Another thing the WRX have that the STIs don't is this little lip. They call it a lip as opposed to the huge wing. It's kind of cool, I guess. Me being young, I'd probably take the wing. What is going on, guys? Blazing Tech, and I just realized I need a car segment title. So if any of you guys have a suggestion for what I should be called when I'm doing a car review, yeah, just let me know. This isn't entirely my full review for my 2017 Subaru WRX. I've only had it for about 4 months now, so this is kind of my first impressions video. The beginning of this video was about kind of how I felt when I got it, and kind of an introduction to what it was like to own the Subaru, kind of how the seats are, how the interior is. But now I'm going to kind of talk about more of the driving aspect of it and how it is to drive it every day, because this is my daily driver. Most of you guys are here for my first impressions in my 2,444 mile review of the Subaru WRX. So let's just get right into it. We'll talk about my gripes first. The first thing that I want to say about this car is drivability wise, it's really tough. If you've never driven a stick shift manual before, I do not recommend this car as your first stick shift car, mainly because it's a little tough to drive. Segueing into my next point, which is the turbo lag. Turbo lag in first gear, if you don't know what you're doing, is horrendous. It feels exactly like the base Impreza feels like when you take off and you don't give it enough gas or you don't let off the clutch fast enough. It's really just dogs right there, and it's really terrible actually. That's a big gripe right there, and that just comes down to the fact that if you don't know how to drive manual, you're not going to drive this car very well. Second gripe has to be the stereo. The head unit is absolutely it just leaves me wondering, wow, you know that this car is appeals to the younger crowd for sure, and you know that. Why would you stick this subpar stereo system in this car? The speakers were horrible. I actually did upgrade the speakers, and that was actually really tricky. I wouldn't recommend doing that. I've done it in older cars, and me and my dad were actually able to do it, but it was actually really bad. I would not recommend it whatsoever. But yeah, the audio system is very buggy. Sometimes it doesn't want to turn off. Other times, if you're trying to, because it's a touchscreen, if you're trying to click different things, it takes a really long time to respond. It's obviously something that you can nitpick so hard, and there's not very much I can find wrong with this car. Number 3 would be the fact that it's kind of extremely tough to drive this car easy when you want to warm it up because of the turbo. So the boost in this car kicks in at about 2,000 RPM right here. So from 2,000 to about 4,000, it really hits hard. So when you're trying to drive really economically in the morning and not damage your engine while it's heating up, it's kind of hard. This car hadn't been run in a couple days, and I've been only on it for about 3 minutes, and it did warm up fine. But yeah, especially in the morning when it's really cold, it's hard to drive it extremely slow. That way you don't cause any extreme engine damage. So yeah. So what have I talked about so far? I talked about drivability, I talked about the stereo, and I talked about warming it up. Number 4 comes with power. I know that Subaru pushes a lot of horsepower out of these WRXs, but just in those high RPMs, the car really dogs. It's more fun to drive in the city than anything else, and I will say that this car is absolutely amazing to drive in the city. But if you're trying to go really fast, you can definitely feel the limitations to this 2-liter flat 4 with the turbocharger on it. So you definitely feel it. It's not something that just because it's a WRX, it's gonna have power all the way around. The boost kicks in very nicely, but after it kicks in and it kicks out from about 4,000 to about 5,000, and from 5 to redline, it feels really good. But the best in this car is 2 to 4. So here right now I'm at my school, and we're going over some speed bumps. And speed bumps, because the suspension is extremely stiff, they're really tough, and you can feel every little bump. You can feel every little bump on the freeway also, but you especially feel it on speed bumps. Yeah, there's a lot of bounce right there. And that's something that a lot of people like for the track. I've never taken this car on a track. I've never really pushed it to its limits. I've redlined it, I think, 2 times in the time that I've owned it. I let it break in properly for the first 1,000 miles. I didn't really push it that hard, and yeah, I haven't really that's not the right word to say. I haven't really thrashed the car like other WRX owners might. I've taken extremely good care of it. Yeah. So here I'll kind of give you my experiences with the car. In the city, I find that you will never touch 6th gear. Yeah, that's another thing I was gonna say. This car is geared really weird. If you're rolling, usually in a stick shift car, you can just slide it to 2nd, but because of that turbo, you feel the turbo lag if you just push it to 2nd. So like if I was to push it to 2nd right here, it feels really bad, and I'm only doing about 7 miles per hour. It wants to be pushed into first gear when you want to kind of get it going after. Yeah, see, that does not feel good, and it doesn't feel right when you want to just push it to first when you're barely going, because the car wants to go to second, but it just, yeah, see, first doesn't feel good when I want to put it in there just to go. It'll work out. You kind of have to play with it, and you'll realize that at certain speeds you want to go to second and give it more gas than anything, and at certain speeds you just want to put it to first and push it in there. Talking about the gears, the gearbox is actually really, it's nice. It is very nice, don't get me wrong. The gear shift is amazing. I've got the short shifter with the STI shift knob, and it feels good, but the gears themselves feel really rigid. And if you drive my dad's S2000, or if you drive any S2000, you know that those gears are just smooth with that short shifter. You can just go, and you can feel it really nicely. And that's just something that this car does not. Driving is amazing. Turns are awesome. You know, I've taken some turns at some decent speeds, and you just feel that power, that symmetrical all-wheel drive kick in, and you feel very confident about the turns. But just the gearbox itself is really, really rough. That's what I can say about it. You know that you're going into gear. I don't think you could shift as fast as you could in my dad's car just because those gears are so smooth. But this comes down to personal preference. For me, I feel like the gearbox is really rough. And I also have an 86 Toyota pickup, and those gears feel more smooth than this. I will say that over time they are getting smoother as I kind of break in the car a little bit more. But just my initial thoughts are that this gearbox is extremely, how do I put it? It's notchy. There you go. That's a perfect word for it. It's notchy. You can feel every single little groove in the gears when you go in. And I am putting full clutch. I know that there's some guys that only go half clutch. I don't do that. I go full clutch when I change the gear. You can change it really quickly, but yeah, it's just a little weird. As far as fuel economy goes, like I said, in the city I can easily get about, I want to say 28 if I wanted to have some fun and then just drive modestly. On the freeway itself, I can get about 35, 40, and that's if I'm shifting properly and I'm not boosting all the way. You can get about 40 on the freeway. This car, you really want to shift it if you have the CVT. I don't know why you bought this car in the CVT, first of all. This car is definitely meant to be a manual transmission. You like cars and you're missing your left leg, then yeah, go ahead, go for it, man. Have fun with that CVT. But this car is definitely meant to be a manual. And right here, I'm going through my neighborhood really nicely. You know, downshift, turn, awesome stuff. And it's very forgiving, that symmetrical all-wheel drive. You can take a nice sharp turn and it'll adjust for you if you're not doing it properly. That symmetrical all-wheel drive, basically it'll brake on a certain wheel for you if you're going a little too fast for that turn. It'll help you out. Yeah, this car is just awesome. These are my words after about 3,000 miles of this car. I'd say that it's good. It has its ups and downs, and it's really just a quirky Subaru. This is the reason why it's not a Civic, because not everybody drives a WRX. And driving a WRX, you have to understand everything that comes with the WRX. You have to understand that the shifting is going to be weird because it's turbocharged. You kind of have to upgrade the stereo. And yeah, you got to know how to drive it properly, to maintain it. That flat 4, you got to maintain it. You got to maintain that turbocharger. I don't think that if you don't want to take care of your car, I think that if you don't want to take care of your car, rather, you shouldn't be driving this car. But these are my thoughts, guys. Thanks for watching, and we'll catch you on the next one.